right, first example for today, we're going to be looking at how we can take those equations we've been looking at the last few days and turn them into standard form. Um, it's nice to be able to just work with equations and find alternative forms and representations of the same line that um, can be expressed in a little bit different ways. So here we go. We have an equation that's given to us here. Make sure we get these down in our notes because it could be a part of your quiz for tomorrow. Um, but we have an equation. If we recognize this form from yesterday, it would be our intercept form. So we all remember that the two intercepts, or the x-intercepts of this parabola, which it is degree 2 once we multiply together, would be a -4 and +9. Okay, great. If we were trying to graph it, that's what we do. From there, we'd find the middle of those two terms. And then that gives us our axis of symmetry, which somewhere on that vertical line is then the vertex. We plot those three kind of key points, and we have a pretty good skeleton of our graph. Now, not our goal for today. Our goal today is just to go ahead and take these things and turn them into standard form. Okay, so here we go. We can start these pretty quickly. Um, by just simply multiplying. When they're in intercept form, all it's going to be is we're going to multiply three things together. We're going to take the leading coefficient here, remember, which tells us whether we open up or down. In this case, this one would open down. It's a -1. We'll multiply that with this first quantity, x plus 4, and we'll multiply that with this second quantity here, or essentially the third quantity, x minus 9. So I would recommend, because order doesn't matter, when you multiply numbers like this, two or more, I would recommend to do the foiling part first. Okay, so to FOIL, if you remember, we're going to take the first thing in each quantity and we'll multiply them together. So there's the F of FOIL. And if we take x times x, we will get our x squared. Remember, when you're multiplying variables, you add the exponents or the powers. So this is going to be an x times an x. We'll add them up. 1 plus 1 is 2, or a power of 2. Multiplying the powers will change. Okay. After that, we'll multiply the O of the FOIL process, which is the two outside terms. Okay. So we'll take x times -9, and that's, again, the OL process of the FOIL. So we'll get -9x there. Okay. -9 times x is just -9x's. Okay. After the O comes I of FOIL. We'll go ahead and multiply the two innermost terms, okay, or the two inside terms. And again, the outside, the O, and the I should combine for these. They should be like terms. So we'll get +4 times x, which is going to be a plus 4x. And then finally, of foiling, we will have lasts, which should be the constants there. +4 times -9, well, a positive times a negative makes a negative. 4 times 9 is 36. Okay, and then before we do any more multiplying, remember, we still need to essentially distribute a, whatever it happens to be, in this case it's -1, through the whole quantity. But before we do that, I would recommend that you go ahead and simplify what's inside the parentheses here. Because we do have those like terms in the middle from the O and the I, let's get them together. There'll be one less step of multiplying. So we'll go ahead and clean this up. X squared, there's no other x squareds in this quadratic equation right now, so we'll just leave that one. -9x's plus 4x's is going to give us a total of -5x's. And then we also have no other constants that are a part of this thing, so we'll have a -36 on the end. And we're almost there. That's almost standard form. We got one last step, and that's going to be to distribute a throughout the entire quadratic. So, and since a is -1, if you notice, multiplying by a -1 really does nothing except for change its sign. It just gives you the opposite. So -1 times x squared is going to be a -x squared. -1 times -5x is going to be a +5x. And then -1 times -36 should change its sign to be +36. And there we go. Now we have the equation written in standard form. Notice the powers are written in descending order. Okay, highest power, next highest power, lowest power. And we want to make sure that's consistent throughout when you're changing forms here. We also have y equals. We are still working with equations. We started with an equation. You better end with an equation. Okay. Um, Teacher, you can pause the video at this point. Um, Give the students 10 minutes max to complete the following problems. On page 254, do numbers 38 through 42 and 48. When you're finished, grab the teacher book, go ahead, check your answers, make sure they're all right. Also, don't be afraid to check the answers from last night's homework because both these assignments could wind up on that quiz tomorrow. We will start class tomorrow with a review, so if there is any questions, we can sure clean those up before we take that quiz. So pause the video now and get to work.